Aloha and how's it? Today we're talking about 3 ways to work better than before on LinkedIn, whether you're using LinkedIn for your business or your career. So, more on that in a minute. How was your weekend? It's still that summertime flat here on the North Shore when it comes to surfing, but maybe there's a little bump we get today that might be enough to get into some baby waves. So, crossing fingers that I might be able to get in a surfing session a few hours from now. Instead of traveling to the South Shore, I know I mentioned that earlier. This summer, we were going to go to the South Shore. We're going to set up and we're going to surf. It just didn't pan out. I've actually used the summer to do a powerlifting strength cycle and put on a bit of muscle. So that's been super fun. I'm a total meathead and I've been enjoying like building up my squat and deadlift over the past few weeks. So super fun stuff. So have you checked out my podcast, The Mango Effect, this week? On the topic of surfing, you will actually get to hear me talk about 15 business lessons I've picked up from learning to surf on Oahu in my 30s. So, whether you're an avid surfer or have never caught a wave in your life, this is a really fun episode where I tell you what it's really like to surf, not what you see on the Instagram. So, there are another couple dozen episodes up there for you to listen to if you are curious about all things lifestyle and work style design, entrepreneurship, living in Hawaii, setting goals, becoming your own boss, and more. But now it is time for Mondays with Mindi. This is a weekly show on Monday afternoons if you're based in the US, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I like to call the 3 Ps of LinkedIn. So, do you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer? Be sure to like this post, whether you're watching live or from the replay. Leave your questions below, and I will answer them either after the show or on a future episode of Mondays with Mindi. Last week, I got a lot of requests for topics that you want me to cover. I got them in the DMs. There were comments everywhere. So thank you to those of you who are suggesting topics and letting me know what you want me to cover. I really do take those into consideration. Just about every one of these live streams comes from a comment or a question or something I have been asked to cover. So thank you for those of you who contribute to the show in that way. Let's get to today's topic. What does it mean to work better than before on LinkedIn? So, last week we talked about how the importance of LinkedIn for our business, organization, and personal brands, how it really ties into what we're doing on LinkedIn and why LinkedIn is so important. If you didn't catch that episode, it's All Roads Lead to LinkedIn. It's a good one, especially if you're on the fence with whether or not LinkedIn should be the priority channel for you right now. Give that one a watch or a listen. It has a lot of good things to think about when it comes to social channels and planning it all out. That leads us to today's topic, where we get into approaching LinkedIn with the right mindset for long term success. So it's really easy to jump straight to the tactics. And a lot of people in my space, that's what we do. It is so easy to default to answering questions about, oh, what tactic? How should I post on LinkedIn? What's the best headline formula? What do I say in a connection invitation? How do I meet new people without sounding spammy? These are all good questions to ask. I mean, we need someone to give us these answers. We need to know how to approach LinkedIn. But more importantly, on LinkedIn is your mindset and how you're approaching LinkedIn every single time you log in. So you might think that this is a little bit of fluffy talk, but it's really not. The clients and students who have the most long term success on LinkedIn, whether they know it consciously or not, they come to LinkedIn with a very different mindset. I can almost tell straight away if a potential client or program member is going to be a good fit for using LinkedIn in the way that I teach, simply by the words they use around LinkedIn. Words tell the story of the feelings and the emotions we have around any given topic. And that applies to LinkedIn in a big way. So start with certain types of feelings or limiting beliefs around LinkedIn, and you're just not going to get the same results as someone else who does exactly the same thing, but with a different mindset. So keep that in mind. Like, tactics are not everything on LinkedIn. Really, it's about mindset. And that's what people don't want to talk about. It's hard to discuss, like, well, how do I shift my mindset around LinkedIn, which is what we're going to get into today. So it's a bit more on the woo woo than some people feel comfortable with, but there's always a bit of magic involved when you start putting yourself out there, connecting with new people, building your business, deepening your relationships with your connections. So, what can happen If you're unaware of the beliefs, the limiting beliefs that you have around LinkedIn, how can they affect your results? All right, here are a few examples. So you can start doing a comprehensive LinkedIn marketing and outreach strategy that all the experts say will generate you a bazillion calls or build your network with X number of clients. But for some reason, it falls flat. I've seen this happen over and over again where people are like, I think I'm doing all the right tactics. I'm like, yeah, let's go a little deeper here. Or you could find yourself dreading logging onto LinkedIn because in your reality, it's a time suck. I mean, how many of us have logged into social channels and like, I just wasted 15, 20 minutes of my time, you know? And a lot of people have that feeling around LinkedIn because they don't know exactly where to put their energy and how to approach it with intention. You could also miss a number of business opportunities on LinkedIn because the energy that you're putting out there feels a bit desperate. It feels a little bit unsure or feel fearful. And people on LinkedIn can sense it immediately. So when you are being pushy or salesy or spammy or just not quite sure what to say, people sense it and they just tune you out immediately. So we definitely don't want to put out that type of energy on LinkedIn. Or you may just avoid LinkedIn altogether because it's easier to stay away from something you don't understand than to commit to the platform. And maybe you do end up having a ton of success in building a large following, but for some reason it feels really hollow or like something is missing. So you may be able to relate to some of those different scenarios that I just laid out. But that's okay. Like we all do. We all feel these things at some point in time, especially as we are learning something new. I heard something from one of my coaches this week, and he was saying, learning, when you feel uncomfortable, learning feels really hard and you're like, it just feels so hard, but that sign of difficulty shows that you are growing and you actually are learning. So when you feel that resistance, you're learning something here. When you feel that back and forth in your brain, you're learning something here. So we are going to discuss a few important ways you can use positive mindset and a little bit of visualization too to set the stage for how you approach using LinkedIn. Having the right mindset ensures you show up to LinkedIn ready to do good business with good people. And that's really what it's all about here on LinkedIn. And the best part is once you understand how to show up on LinkedIn, what energy you're bringing to it, it's just plug and play. Tactics are easy once you understand the energy component. All right, so aloha. For those who don't know me, my name is Mindi Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindi Rosser Marketing, and I have a group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and their network. If you are catching this live or within a few days of airing, we just finished up cohort 5 of the LinkedIn Accelerator program just a few days ago. We spent an awesome 5 days together working on our profiles, growing our networks, touching on all things we need to grow our business, land our next job using LinkedIn. So the next one will likely kick off during October, but I will keep you posted. And if you are following this, just ping me if you want to be notified of the next time we open the doors. So I help professionals who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go-to visible expert in their niche so they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact on LinkedIn. So in this live, we are going to talk about why approaching LinkedIn from a number of limiting beliefs is causing you to miss out on new opportunities and how you can use visualization and positive mindset to help you shift and accelerate your business, kickstart the right relationships, and generate more leads. So, are you ready? Let's jump into today's topic. This is a good one. Go ahead and like this post, whether you are live or watching from the replay, to give it some social love. Okay, so a common mistake that I see quite a few business owners and leaders not even realizing that they have is their limiting beliefs around using LinkedIn. So, social media in general is highly charged, and it really shouldn't be. But there's this belief that it's addicting, that it's pointless, that it's a waste of time, that we simply get sucked in and we cannot extract ourselves from it. There's all this talk about going on a 30-day social media detox as if we are intoxicating ourselves in a very harmful way. Even that 2020 Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma, about how diabolical the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world are in trying to take over our brains. Remember that one? I think most of us have probably seen it by now. In my personal experience, along with many of my coaching clients, this whole concept of getting mindlessly sucked in does not apply for most professionals on LinkedIn. It's just not the same vibe. This is not any of those other channels. So there's something unique about LinkedIn as opposed to Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Some of you still may use it, and Facebook. LinkedIn is very different. The problem is that so many people lump LinkedIn into that intoxicating social media bucket. So that label in itself is the problem. LinkedIn is the place where professionals like you and me come to network with each other, explore doing good business with other good people, and focus on creating a better workplace and environment for ourselves and others. That is my belief. That is how I approach LinkedIn. That's how I teach and coach my clients and students to see LinkedIn. It's not mindless Instagram where we get stuck reeling for 10 minutes. It's not Facebook where we're keeping up with the Joneses from high school. It's not TikTok where we're assaulted with disturbing TikToks from Gen Z influencers. This is LinkedIn and it's special. And when you approach LinkedIn from that mindset, you are going to notice a huge shift in the way that people respond to you on LinkedIn, in the way that you are perceived, how you feel about LinkedIn when you log on. So think about LinkedIn as the combination of the most spectacular industry event with loads of opportunities to learn, to connect, to network, to build relationships, to share ideas, all in whatever cadence or time frame works for you. The beautiful thing about LinkedIn is it's great for introverts or extroverts or ambiverts, what other ever verts we have out there. You can invest hours a day, which I don't recommend, or minutes per day in LinkedIn. It's up to you. And you can still experience the benefits that can turn into lucrative business opportunities or establish professional relationships that will accelerate your career and your business. It is really up to you. And LinkedIn is such an interesting tool that if you just understood the power of LinkedIn and know how to use it for you individually, you are going to experience like a massive shift in your career, in your business, and just how you feel about LinkedIn. We all have to use it. Like there's no way around it. In today's day and age, everybody has to have a LinkedIn profile. So you might as well learn how to use it well, and you don't have to be the most active person on LinkedIn. So pause for a moment. Ask yourself this question. How do I see LinkedIn working for me right now? Okay. How do I see LinkedIn working for me right now? Really think about the answer. Like sit there, pause. I talk fast, so pausing is hard for me. Do you feel a sense of negativity around the answer? Any frustration? What about excitement? Do you want to learn more? Are you curious? So we're going for the emotion that you feel around LinkedIn. What is that emotion? When you think about LinkedIn, what emotion do you feel? If you had to put one word, had to label it with one word, what would it be? When you can identify that emotion, you can start to figure out what your limiting beliefs around LinkedIn are. And you don't have to do it all now. You can ponder it, come back to it after this, come back to this section in the replay. But it's really important to understand what is holding you back because when you can, then you can actually map out what you need to do moving forward. You can understand what is driving you and what is causing that resistance to use LinkedIn in the way that you know is possible for you. So, we are going to talk about 3 ways that we can start working better than before on LinkedIn by identifying some really common myths around LinkedIn. So, we're talking about 3 of them today. You can use these as examples and then come up with your own. If you felt a negative emotion around LinkedIn when we just went through that exercise, come back to it, go deeper. This is to get you going and get some ideas going in your head and see how we can identify the misconceptions and the limiting beliefs and what you can do to counteract them. So I'm going to also share a really cool tool at the end of this live stream that will help you work through this. So stay tuned to the end. I will share a link to a really cool tool. All right, so limiting belief number 1. I hear this all the time. I need to grow my network bigger to grow my business or get opportunities. So let me tell you the story of 2 Steves, as nothing says it better than a real life story. So Steve number 1, he has less than 2,000 connections, or I think he's just crested over that now. He books 10 to 12 calls per month with his ideal clients, and he has been doing so for more than 18 months in a very tiny niche. I will tell you, the niche is very small. It is not a massive audience. All right, so Steve has 2,000 connections, 10 to 12 calls per month with his ideal clients, and he has been doing this for 18 months straight. All right, tiny network, very strategic, but calls with perfect prospects, multiple times per week. Amazing, right? I think most of us who are consultants are looking for clients. That would be an ideal scenario. All right, so Steve number two. Let's talk about Steve number two. He is approaching, I think, right around 350,000 followers on LinkedIn right now. So he's an influencer, but he is struggling to engage his network, usually getting a half dozen engagements on each post if he's lucky. Sometimes some comments here and there, but he's really struggling to get anyone to respond to him and sending connection invitations or sending messages to people. It's like it's falling on deaf ears. People are not responding. So in this example, Steve number one, tiny network, 2,000, right around 2,000 connections, 10 to 12 calls per month. Steve number two, 350,000 followers. You would think at least a small portion of these would be interested in his work, but nobody's responding to him in his messages. Nobody's commenting on his posts. Who is actually getting more business from LinkedIn today? Pretty obvious, right? Steve number one, smaller network. So a bigger LinkedIn network is not better unless it's filled with all of the right people. So for those of you who do want to become thought leaders and influencers, yes, having a bigger LinkedIn network will allow you to reach more people, but only if those people are aligned with where you're headed. I have seen so many people try to shortcut LinkedIn, and they're like, well, they'll pay somebody just to get them a bunch of followers or just get connected with people who are likely to say yes, but are not their perfect prospects. Or if they are a thought leader or an author, they are not their ideal readers. So why are they adding them to their network? Just to boost their ego? It's not going to help them. So, in most cases, I recommend a smaller network that is strategic and aligned, as this is what the majority of us need to progress in our careers and have enough new opportunities to build relationships with the right people. So, in dealing with limiting belief number one, it is not about bigger, it is about a better network. So, when you are thinking of your network, if you have less than 500 connections, good for you, because guess what? You do not have a bunch of people in your network that are not a good fit. And trust me, I deal with this a lot. Like, I have people that spend a weekend combing through all of their old connections and saying, why did I let all of these people in? Nobody's engaging with my content. The people I want to see my content aren't seeing it because my network's not engaging. So having a big network that is not aligned with where you are now is not going to help you. So if you have a small network, good for you. Great. You get to build it with all the right people moving forward. If you have a large network and you need to downsize, you can do that too. You can either remove connections or you can start adding the right people to your network moving forward. So there are multiple ways to deal with this. Just keep in mind, you don't have to have a big network. I'm looking at my network right now and I'm like 6,000 something as of the recording of this video. And I feel like it's almost a little too big. It's getting to that point where I'm connecting with people because I'm actually interested in what they do, but I want to go deeper with my network because that matters to me. I want to be able to have those direct messages and that connection with the people who are in my network. So think about your approach to LinkedIn. If you want to go the big route, good, go for it. You're going to have less of a direct connection with those people in your network, and that can be okay. For those of us who really want to grow our businesses and it's like a relationship based sale, having a smaller network of people we actually know is going to be a much better bet. All right, so let's talk about limiting belief number two. I need to spend more time on LinkedIn. I hear this all the time. I just need to spend more time on LinkedIn. Mindi, I just need to spend more time. I'm not spending enough time. I know I should log in. Okay, so first of all, nobody should try to win the award for the most logins to LinkedIn throughout the workday. I have had people saying, well, I log in like a lot of times. This is good, right? No, not necessarily. It's about doing the right things when you intentionally log on to LinkedIn. So choosing to be intentional about LinkedIn is critical. When you are sitting there on your phone, like a lot of times we catch ourselves logging into Instagram when we're bored, looking at Facebook, we're standing in line at the grocery store like, I might as well just see what's happening. That is not how you want to approach LinkedIn. It is not about being there all the time on LinkedIn. It's about showing up consistently over time and in the right mindset. We've talked a lot about that. And you get to dictate what consistency is. So consistency for some of the coaching clients I work with is literally logging onto LinkedIn 3 days a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're checking for connection invitations, you're browsing through your LinkedIn messages, quick glance at those notifications just in case there's something interesting, and maybe you comment on a post shared by the company page. Boom, check, done. All right, that probably takes 5 to 10 minutes max. Once you get into the hang of it, it's pretty quick. For other clients I work with, if you are using LinkedIn for business development purposes, okay, you are going to need to spend more time on LinkedIn. This is going to be an approach that is a bit more extensive and proactive because instead of just, being reactive and just checking all of these things, you are actually going onto LinkedIn, identifying decision makers, looking closely at their profiles, reaching out with a thoughtful email or connection invitation, and also paying attention to prospects' LinkedIn activity. So, yes, it is going to take you a bit longer if you're on the business development, sales side, or if you are, taking sales calls or booking calls with your ideal prospects. The checklists are the key, though, to making LinkedIn work better than before. When you have a checklist of what you do on LinkedIn every time you log in, it is really simple. Check, 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 done. I literally have a checklist for every single one of the clients that I work with. It's like, okay, follow the checklist, log into LinkedIn, check notifications, check for comments, check the LinkedIn page, look and see if there are messages, respond to so and so. There are a number of things that go onto that checklist. But if you have a checklist, you just have to create it once. And I know it takes time, but create your checklist once and then you just update it. If you decide to change business objectives down the road when it comes to LinkedIn, update your checklist. But then it's super simple because you just go in there and as long as you're checking all the boxes, you don't have to think too hard. And I think that's what happens with LinkedIn. Sometimes we log in and we just kind of like look around, like, okay, what should I check? Maybe I'll look at my newsfeed. What about my LinkedIn page? Nobody's going, we get stuck in our heads because we don't know what to do and we're not efficient with our time when we do hop onto LinkedIn. So, for those who want to spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, you can actually enlist the help of someone on your team. Or maybe you want to work with a trusted virtual assistant who can actually surface notifications for you, keep you up to date on your messages, and any opportunities that they notice would be helpful for you. So there are ways, if you are time strapped and you still want to be active on LinkedIn, you can enlist other people to help you. You can delegate certain things. I would not delegate most things, but you can delegate certain things like notifications, messages, opportunities. You don't want them responding on your behalf to messages. Just keep that in mind. You don't want to use a bunch of automation. I've talked about that in other episodes, but you do want to use help if you want somebody to keep on top of you when it comes to LinkedIn. And it also provides another layer of accountability. So it's more about what your objectives are for LinkedIn. So I recommend choosing one main objective per quarter. So every 90 days, you are focused on one thing that you want to do on LinkedIn. Match your activities to that one objective. Don't come to LinkedIn trying to say, I just need to spend more time here. And so you just kind of like go around LinkedIn for an hour doing nothing or feel like you're hopefully doing something, but not sure if they're the right things. You want an objective. So whether it's growing your network, whether it is, I want to get one sales call that I can point to LinkedIn and say that originated from a conversation I had on LinkedIn. That could be it. You could also be focused on content. So if you really want to develop your content skills and figure out how to post content that engages your audience, maybe it is growing your network really large or getting a lot of followers because you are going to try to get a traditionally published book deal. Those types of things, it makes sense to get a larger network. So think about what your objective is for LinkedIn. That will really help shape the direction in your activity on LinkedIn. All right. And last limiting belief, number 3, LinkedIn is just another social media platform. It's not. It doesn't work like Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or Facebook. I almost don't view LinkedIn as a social media platform at all, as I said earlier, though it does have much of the same functionality as the other platforms. LinkedIn is the place to do good business with other good people. LinkedIn is almost like your personal website, especially if you're a career professional and you don't need to have your name as a .com. So I actually treat LinkedIn a little bit differently than my other channels. When I go to Facebook, I'm usually going there because there are groups. I really like groups. I'm a part of a lot of communities and I love my groups on Facebook. When I go to Instagram, I usually want to watch surfing videos. So I make sure to like all the surfing videos. So my feed always has a surfing video at the top. I'm not really there for business. When I go to TikTok, okay, you see the rolling of the eyes. I don't like TikTok, but I am trying to post there because I'm doing an experiment. And I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But when I go to TikTok, I try to get off as soon as possible. But my daughter loves it. So my feed is filled with all the stuff she likes to watch, like Brazilian Jiu Jitsu at the top of my feed. So that's TikTok for me. Twitter, I barely use these days. But if I go there, it's just to make sure that my account looks active. I don't spend much time there. When I come to LinkedIn, though, it is with intention. I'm excited, usually, most days, unless I'm inundated with work or I know my DMs have piled up and I'm going to have to, get through all of them. So LinkedIn is a special place. And when I log in here, I make sure that my mindset is first in the right place. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit worn down or it's the end of the day, I will actually wait to log into LinkedIn till my mindset is in a good spot. Ideally, in a perfect world, I like to log into LinkedIn right after I check my email in the morning because I'm in a happy headspace. I know there are exciting DMs that I get to respond to because I always have open conversations there. I know that there's going to be an interesting post from somebody in my network that I can engage with in my newsfeed because I follow amazing people and they share really good content. I also know that there's going to be some activity in my LinkedIn group. I will be talking about LinkedIn groups soon because LinkedIn groups are kind of making a comeback right now. So that's always fun for me because there's going to be new members and I'm going to be excited about the content they want to share with the group. So there are a number of things that I get excited about on LinkedIn, but that's because I approach it with the right mindset. I have a strategy and I have a checklist. So I follow my checklist every day to make sure that I'm not missing what I need to accomplish and what I need to check on LinkedIn and also what I need to do on the proactive side. So let's recap. So first, limiting belief we want to make sure we remember is that we don't need to have a bigger network. Bigger is not a better network. Strategic is better. All right, number two, you don't need to spend more time on LinkedIn. It's all about focusing on your one objective for those 90 days. Even if your objective is as simple as, Mindy, I just need to log into my account every weekday. Boom. Okay, then that is your objective. Get comfortable on LinkedIn. Log in every single weekday. Boom, done. And number three, stop treating LinkedIn like another social media channel because it's just not. And remember, if you are new to using LinkedIn or trying to rethink your approach, it all starts with your mindset. I know I've hammered it home today. Once you identify the limiting beliefs that are holding you back right now, you can start working better than before on LinkedIn without trying to kind of haphazardly put together a list of tactics and you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. It's important to be specific and understand why. When you understand why you're doing what you're doing and where that is going to lead you on LinkedIn, you will feel more confident. You're going to actually want to do it. So focus on your mindset first. Show up to LinkedIn consistently, starting with 3 days per week or every weekday if you can. Pay attention to your newsfeed. Watch how other people use LinkedIn. Observe what you like and what you don't like. For example, like pay attention to those connection invitations that you're like, oh, another piece of spam or another salesy message. I screenshot them because I think they're hilarious. And I have a whole file folder full of terrible messages that make me laugh and also show us what not to do. So pay attention to what you like and what you don't like. So then you understand, this is how other people receive what I'm sharing, what I'm sending. You'll also know when you're ready to take that next step on LinkedIn. So once you get confident with your one objective for the quarter, you will understand, okay, next, I want to work on this. One step leads to the next. Take your baby steps. All right. So, to build on what we discussed today, I have an extra special bonus from one of my online business mentors, Amy Porterfield. She is incredible. She's one of my favorite people. And she has just released a 15-minute audio guide today that will help you take a baseline snapshot of your before. So, like what you have, where you are, all that you're experiencing today. You can apply this to LinkedIn too. If you really want to work through the mindset that you have and those limiting beliefs, this will really help you. You can also get crystal clear on your most true to you vision of success so you can be confident in working towards what you really want in your work, in your life, on LinkedIn, and then also creating a plan to make your vision a reality because that is so important. We talked about checklists and how important that is to success on LinkedIn. So when you have it written down, you can make that vision of success on LinkedIn a reality. So I will put the link in the chat down below after this. So do check that out. If you're watching the replay, it's already there. Grab Amy's guide, pop in your headphones, enjoy 15 peaceful minutes of looking within so you can move forward with confidence. All right, I will see you all next week on Mondays with Mindy. We are going to have a really exciting discussion around finding your niche in identifying your audience on LinkedIn. This has been brought up a bit lately, and I really want to go deep on this. So tune in next week. It's going to be a really good one. In the meantime, feel free to add your questions or comments below, and my inbox is always open if you want to message me there too. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. I'm hoping that we've got waves by the end of this, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now.